Welcome back, everybody, to round three of of this month's edition of Low Ink. To start off, I am Severino here with Omazen, and yeah, we are going to be witnessing YoGurt versus Destructive during this round. Are you familiar with both of these teams, Oma?
Neither of them are that familiar to me, at least, although taking a look into what they both kind of have going on, we do see that I think they are both 1-1, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, they are both 1-1 right now. So they're looking to try to get that overall score of their set wins to a 2-1, of course, heading into this next set here. So there is a bit on the line. Both of them were able to secure their first set win. So round one, they were able to close out. However, round two, they both lost on their respective ends. So heading into this set in particular, there is a bit more on the line, right? We are about halfway through the tournament at this point, so wins are becoming much more important. However, that doesn't mean that there aren't still opportunities to experiment and opportunities to see what you can really pull off while having a little bit of leeway. So heading into this set here, starting out on Clan Blitz, Umami Ruins, I think a lot of opportunities here are just going to come down to how each team is able to hold down the control of not just mid, but also that mid plat as well. That a lot of players typically refer to as top mid, I believe. Sib, do you have any thoughts yourself heading into Clan Blitz on Umami Ruins on what might be key strategies for each team to generally try to hold to?
I guess like one thing is both these teams need to keep in mind that um while the baskets are not really close to each other, similar to Makomart Clan Blitz, but they are relatively close. So they just gotta be careful on they just gotta be careful in the attempts of people sneaking into their dome or into their plat and stuff like that. Just all of these things that they got to keep in mind when they have control of mid here. But anyways, game number one just started here, and by the looks of it, I see an X Washer coming in from the side of Destructive and a backless comp coming in from YoGurt.
Yeah, we do have kind of that key difference maker here, although neither team has maybe the most formal of backlines, with also the Explo and Dynamos being a bit more of a flex in some regards, maybe being just a bit more of an anchor. So heading in here, we do see both teams finding those opportunities to not necessarily be fully out of the map. YoGurt did get backed off there for a moment, although they were able to find ways to get back up. Members of Destructive are really just doing their best here to try to hold the line, although also finding their own opportunities to sneak in, like the Scowl trying to find the flank on the Crab, and they do, taking that Crab out before they were able to cause too much damage. The Stamper has also just been doing a phenomenal job of just holding down pressure throughout mid, playing off of other weapons like the Dynamo and whatnot. So we're yet to see a big push from either side, although we are seeing the members of YoGurt start to go down.
Yeah, and now it is Destructive having control, but the Explo wasn't able to keep an eye on that bomb there that was right near them, and I think this does enable the members of YoGurt to go back in and reclaim their not only their basket but try to reclaim mid, and they successfully do so. And this bucket out here just causing havoc here and just able to take out two of the members from Destructive, and now I think we may see a potential push coming in from YoGurt.
Yeah, they definitely are setting up for it. They have the Crab, they have the Booyah to help set it up. It seems like a couple of the players, not even a couple, the whole team is going to wipe at the cost of 2 ball throws, but that's also not necessarily the worst score heading into around the halfway point of the match. On the flip side of things, though, we do see just about nearly 2 balls set up on the end of Destructive. They do have one on hand, maybe enough clams to build a second nearly, but they do start off their own pushes while YoGurt has 2 players down, and this is going to play out a little bit differently than YoGurt's own push earlier, as Destructive has been able to set up on not just the dome near the basket, but has also been able to just flex in more clams, try to dive in a bit more to get some of those just additional points on the board.
Yeah, they were able to get to 47 points remaining, which honestly is not too bad of a good lead, but a good a potential flip coming from Yogurt, since both these points that they have aren't too far apart from each other. And we see Yogurt coming back to where they started before, just going in for a potential push, and they certainly did. But I think the push got a little too I would say rushed, I feel like. And because of that, this does result in a wipeout for them, and now Destructive is back to where they started again. This is what I mean by like how close these baskets are here, folks.
Yeah, they're kind of deceptively close to each other. This map does a great job with just how it's physically laid out to make it feel like that you have to go through all these different subsections of it, when in reality you could theoretically just walk past it all and suddenly you're at the other team's basket in no time at all. Um, but we do keep seeing both these teams go back and forth. Specials do come out from both sides to kind of create more pressure. The Crab, for instance, able to enable a start of a push for YoGurt here. Will they find that value of actually scoring the clam? We'll have to see. They do find one. It's leaving just the bucket up there. Not able to find a bit more than just a narrow lead, though. And Destructive, again, we've talked about before, they're already trying to push up to the basket in no time at all. Although that rush on their part might have been to their detriment, as we do see just kind of the Explos standing in mid trying to hold down a new push from YoGurt.
Yeah, I think both these teams are finally now like getting a good grasp of each other now, like halfway through the game. Like they're just like, oh, we finally figured out. Let's try to do that. And I think this really mostly applied to Yogurt here. Even though like Destructive got a good grasp, I think Yogurt has the upper hand in like understanding the play style here. But we see Destructive just rushing in, and they were able to flip the lead at the last second here and able to get 4 points remaining. This is going to be the most intense overtime for Yogurt.
Oh, they almost closed it out there as well. Unfortunately, just narrowly missing the basket. This is going to create a little bit of a window for YoGurt to maybe get a push in, although most of the overtime had passed at that point, so probably not going to happen, as we do see Destructive close out this set, I believe. Or close out the round, my bad. Or the individual match. What am I saying?
Okay, it's all right. I think we get what you're trying to say, but my God, that was that was a chaotic fight between these two teams. Honestly, I think this will be a fun one to watch here, honestly, because we now have a good idea on what both these teams like to run here. Although that is probably going to change when we get to game number 2 here. But honestly, though, like I loved what I saw. Like it was just so I feel like those entire games, like that entire game, just felt scrappy. If that's the right way to describe it.
No, I think that's a fair assessment, and I think when it gets to that point, it kind of just becomes a battle of almost attrition, or at least a battle of who has the most stamina in like we're talking like maybe you're doing a sprint versus kind of a longer country mile or something like that. It's like who
Hmm.
can do the sprint on the country mile and actually just outlast their opponent. And we kind of saw that happen with Destructive, right?
Hmm.
Destructive kind of had, unfortunately, a few fumbles throughout that match in particular, where they probably could have found a lot more value if they just steadily walked up as opposed to rapidly dive in. But it got to a point where towards the end of the match, YoGurt was kind of starting to get a little bit unsure about how maybe things would go too. There were a few cracks starting to form, and Destructive was, able to be destructive. They were able to find that win and secure a near knockout on their part. So if you have the opportunity to just overwhelm your opponent like that, you can cause a lot of, destructive damage.
Um, yeah, I 100% agree with you here. I also do want to give out some sort of analogy as well, where like it feels like it kind of remind me a little bit in wrestling, where once when two opponents like fight, give like their first hit at each other, it's this sudden reaction where like they're all just like, oh, this is real, like we're actually like fighting in. And I felt like that's what we saw from both these teams, like in game number one. But we're moving on from game number one. We are heading straight to game number two here, folks. Tower Control on Inkblot Art Academy, a classic map mode in the competitive scene. Do we see any comp changes here, Oma?
I think there are maybe a small handful. Not anything too notable, though, that's going to necessarily change things one way or another. But what we do see is, once again, a lot more of those trades back and forth that we saw in the first match. YoGurt trying their best to just have a really strong start. They are able to find that first check. Although at the cost of nearly the entire team wiping, unfortunately. We do see the Dynamo come back in quick, though, is able to find a really clean pick on the Gal, and then also, three members of the team even getting that flow aura right as they, unfortunately, also wipe themselves, but it's created enough of a window where the members of YoGurt are able to get back up themselves. We do see this Dooley getting that crab up as well, trying to maybe take a page out of Destructive's book from last game of just that constant overwhelming, that constant being unsure of what the opponent might have just coming out next.
Yeah, very strong positioning from the YoGurt. I think after game one, they really just forgot what they did, what they did in game number one, and just kind of like had a new mindset and kind of just went in, and it worked out for them. And they're just still out here like creating so much destruction. I think they should be also calling themselves Destructive 2.0 at this point.
Destructive 2.0, that's not necessarily the most incorrect thing in the world. We do see Destructive come out with a quad on their own side, though, through a combination of some counters and the Booyah Bomb as well. That was a key play they needed to make. If they weren't able to necessarily get YoGurt completely out, it's been proven that as long as they have one jump spot opportunity, they can just get right back up. And they're trying to take a page out of, ironically, the YoGurt book of trying to just find those different angles to ease in up to, and it's kind of finding some opportunities. We do see the Stamper really holding down that left side of the map near the ink rail pretty well. But kind of heading into their own push, Destructive is gradually setting up. They're taking it a little bit slower, and it's going to be up to YoGurt to just deny as much of this as they can.
We did see a Booyah coming out, and I think that was able to take out two people, but the Doolies unfortunately fell in the water. And this does give a good upper advantage here. But as I say that commentator's curse here, the bucket player just out here doing these crazy hospital flicks on a couple of the members from Destructive. And now I think this does save YoGurt from retaking mid here. And I think they're just going back to where they started before, just creating another push.
Definitely seems like it is the case, right? YoGurt, especially at a minute and a half left on the match, this is kind of a key point to try to not necessarily push a ton, but to definitely try to make sure the tower can't get easily pushed against you. We do see just the Dynamo being left here as the members of Destructive start to set up that Gal once again, taking that right step flank, opting to back off of it and move with the rest of their team on the left, trying to just work together best they can. And they are finding some value. It's just going to come down to how quickly they can find that value and make sure that the members of YoGurt can't deny this tower push from happening.
I do want to point out that I noticed that a couple of the members from YoGurt are kind of like playing roles that they shouldn't be doing. Like we saw the Dynamo kind of being a little aggro. Like even though they have like a good they can be able to get good picks like with the buff that they got. It's still not gonna be enough for them, especially since like they have to also have the help from their teammates, and I feel like YoGurt is kind of now just playing alone, like without getting any help, and again, like we are seeing them just getting taken out in the process.
Yeah, and I mean, you have to kind of just have that consistency, especially on a map mode like Tower. With clams, right, you can just really rapidly make something happen in not too much time, assuming you have the economy under control. But on a map mode like Tower, like you're kind of reliant on that checkpoint just working with you, and unfortunately, it doesn't seem like that's going to be the case for Destructive actually, as YoGurt's able to get this set to a 1-1 position, I believe.
Um, yeah, honestly, like despite mentioning the flaws, the weakness that YoGurt have, they still were able to get an insane push like in the beginning here, and I think like some of the players had their moments in like saving themselves from not letting Destructive and getting a good push here. Like we saw the bucket just creating creating such amazing flicks and getting such crucial picks which saved them. And yeah, it's just really like it was just really like certain moments like that really saved YoGurt into securing game number 2 here. But yeah, anyways, we are heading straight to Splat Zone's Mako Mart, another classic in the competitive scene.
Yeah, it definitely is a classic. It's definitely one of those maps you're gonna generally see on every single tournament, and for good reason, right? There's a lot of different ways to handle the map, but a lot of different just objectives and places you're typically going to want to stand or play around are very centralized. It makes things very relatively clean, but it can also create those opportunities for teams to dominate too, right? So heading into here, we've seen obviously both teams win a match and pretty decisively relatively win both of those matches at the end of the day when you look at the score counters. I think heading into this one in particular, since we don't have that kind of little quirkiness to a moving objective, and we don't have the quirkiness of, like, to a certain point, you almost are the objective, in a way, like in Clan Blitz.
Yeah.
It's going to come down to which team is able to realize some flanks right, but also which team is going to be able to just hold down a space very comfortably. And both teams have the tools to do it. I'm not exactly sure who's going to necessarily pull it off myself. Sib, do you have any thoughts of your own?
I don't know, because, like, I feel like both of these teams, they just have such strong openings, and I feel like it all just depends on a fumble from a player who can fumble. We're just gonna have to find out as we get game number 3 going, and by the looks of it, nothing out of the ordinary has changed, just the same comps that we saw before in the previous 2 games.
For sure, and heading into the beginning of this match, we do see one go down on the side of YoGurt being the Stamper, but also the Pro and Gal and Dynamo also going down, as this match is left in a bit of a 2-on-2 situation, although it seems like Destructive's gonna win out that battle of attrition, as not just does the zone not flip yet, but they're also able to find the key trades to prevent it from happening just yet. Just as I say that, YoGurt does find a map of their a zone cap of their own, and it's created this opportunity for them to try to rapidly move up in the way we were able to see them do it last match too.
I'm just waiting to see that Dynamo try to rush into the ledge just so that they could get some crazy picks. But I think they are well aware that there are so many like on top left here, which is good for them to just stay alive and just kind of stay back, be the anchor of the team, which honestly is like the smartest play to do. Like if you're a backless comp and everything, we do see the Dynamo taking out the Pro, I believe, but one of them traded out for them, and now I think things are just returning to neutral here. But I think the members of YoGurt do have the upper advantage here, able to take out the Gal, and now the Stamper has the Booyah ready and trying to throwing it to left side. This is definitely a very dominating game for YoGurt.
No, it really has been. We've seen in particular the Stamper just create a lot of damage and has been able to help keep down key parts of the map so well. It seems like Destructive might find that cap they're looking for here, although there's just enough things getting thrown around where it hasn't happened just yet. That Booyah might be that thing they need to get it to flip over, and it is.
Ooh.
That's a key moment for them. They are trying to get themselves steadied and hopefully a bit more stabilized, but the members of YoGurt just aren't relenting. They've held on control to their stack that whole time. And it's to the point where they even have a crab out. They even throwing our booyahs, right? Um,
Yeah. Yeah, like, I think, because Makomar has so many, like, areas for you to just, like, move around, like, we saw the Dualies and the Stamper and even the Bucket just, taking advantage of those, open opportunities, in, like, their alley or in, like, the far ramp, sides. Like, they just really had a good run going, but it seems like things are not going too well for YoGurt at the moment, as Destructive have a lot of control of the map. We see the strikes and the Booyah coming out from YoGurt here, and I think this might have saved them. I don't think so. Yeah, I think it didn't do a whole lot, as yeah, they were able to get picks, but I think they just weren't able to get the zone.
no, for sure. And as we kind of reach this key, like, do or die point of the set here, right? We do see both teams kind of get some trades back and forth. The Stamper's in a pretty key position if they can stay up on this off angle here, able to not necessarily find a pick, but get enough eyes off of the zone to kind of prevent the members of Destructive from getting too much power back. But yeah, it's just like, can you hold down those positions? Can you hold down each stack in particular too? We haven't necessarily seen it just yet from Destructive, but there is a little bit of time left.
Yeah, I think we saw the resources coming out from Destructive here, and they were able to capture the zone with those resources that they have. And I think what they got to do in order to have a successful victory here is to just have control. Is to not only have control, but really have strong positions here. And I think they definitely had some going on, but I think with the zap down, this is going to be a bit of a. This might definitely be harder for them, especially since they don't have a cooler ready yet.
No, for sure. And I mean, Destructive here really has to do everything they can to just hold down the zone too. We've seen that once they start to be in a position where they have to move back a little bit, the members of YoGurt are able to just come out with so many different specials, and with the help of the Dynamo too, they're able to just rapidly take so much space control back. And with the crab already up there
Oh my god.
at the snipe as well of Destructive, it's gonna be really tough for them to get back out.
Yeah, and I think because of that strong defense coming in at the end, especially with the crab on snipe, which by the way, that was that was really cool to watch. Just as a dually player myself, that was fun to watch there for a moment. But anyway, that strong defense there just pretty much locked out the members of Destructive from taking the zone here, and YoGurt is able to successfully win not only game number two, but also this entire round.
Yeah, it was really close too. Both
Mhm.
teams were able to just get a lot of their own moments, a lot of like, okay, this might be it type moments, right? Throughout the set, and just that match in particular too. But ultimately, YoGurt did come out on top, but both teams had a really great showing. I have to give them both that for sure. Destructive with just how quickly they're able to move up, but then also YoGurt with how, like, defiantly they're able to kinda create a wall and, like, kind of place that wall practically wherever they want and make it nearly impossible for the opponent to break through, but, yeah, both teams have their own great moments. Sib, you have any closing thoughts here?
Um, Honestly, you pretty much took the words right out of my mouth here, Oma. Like both of these teams they just really had showed all of their strengths and weaknesses in this entire round. Like um I absolutely love how they played it. It was just really unfortunate there that it was just really unfortunate that the members of Destructive kind of didn't have like the strong positions that they want in order to get a successful lead swap. But hopefully